Hey, all right, welcome to this terrific Tuesday edition of Liquid Lunch on Biz TV. I'm John Tobacco. We're coming today live as I do every single day lately from the Corona Bunker Studios right here in the living room of my house in New York City, beautiful Staten Island, New York, and the city where they just decided to defund $1 billion from the NYPD. Not shortly after that, I have been victimized, me and my family, by this new crime spree that's overtaking New York City. We'll talk more about that a little later on. And to me, there's been a crime spree going on in the markets for quite a couple of months now. I know for those of you who watch often and watch here on Biz TV, also watching on social media and afterwards, thank you for your continued support. But you know, I've been saying for a while now that the market is artificially inseminated. And that might sound a little strange to you, but the government, because of the COVID and everything else, they had to take out a big old syringe and they had to inject trillions of dollars into the market and into buying government bonds, in some cases, in many cases, junk bonds, buying treasuries, lending exorbitant amount of money to banks and big brokerages at very low interest rates. So there's an old saying in the market, you can't fight the Fed. If the Fed is signaling that they're going to cut rates, don't get short because the market's probably going to go up. And if the Fed continues to keep signaling that they're going to have to keep raising rates, again, don't fight the Fed. Don't think you're smarter than the Fed. Just go along with the trend, because in a free market, and that's what the U.S. capital markets, the bastion of free capital markets in the world, probably in history, that's what we're supposed to represent. And when the government has to take stimulative action by pumping trillions of bucks into it, coming from that big old imaginary printing press we got down in Knoxville, Tennessee, you find out a little more and more that we need all that crap out of our system. We need it out of our system. When you get sick, you got a malaise over you. You drank some NyQuil to go to sleep or go on a flight, but then when you wake up, you're still groggy. Okay, you got to get that out of your system. You got to work out. You got to sweat. You got to do other things to cleanse your system of that. Then you feel good, and then you can start going up again. The market had a great run, down 175 today. All the experts are saying, whoa, maybe it's a little overbought. It's way overbought, and much of the buying has been done with imaginary money created by our Treasury. So I am a macro bull. Donald Trump gets reelected next year. This market's 30, 35. Who knows? But right now in the near term, if you want to take advice from me, do your own homework. That's the advice I got for you. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'll tell you this. The way I've been looking at charts, the way I've been looking at fundamental behavior, and the way the market looks forward, look forward and see maybe malls will open, maybe commercial real estate will be occupied again, but everything's going to come with restrictions well into 2021. 25% occupancy, 50% capacity. Many of these businesses all across the spectrum were barely just starting to do well under Trump, but now their capacity utilization is going to be cut by minimum 50%. That can't be good looking forward. So I think the market's got to clean out this 150 bucks, maybe the start of greater things to come. I think somewhere around 20,000 is where we'll have kind of regurgitated all the toxins that the government's pumped into the market. And then Trump's approval ratings go up. COVID starts to go away, and then we see an election in 2020 where we have 4 more years of Donald Trump, and we go into the Christmas rally on fire. But for now, be careful, stay nimble, watch your portfolio closely, because I think there's a big downturn out there. It's going to be a turn up in greatness. Martin, we come back when Aaron Sykes joins us right here on Liquid Lunch. Stay right there.
5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, welcome back. Many stocks, including one of my old favorites, Overstock.com, founded by my dear friend and great patriot, Dr. Patrick Byrne, has been on fire lately, while Overstock and many other of the online retailers were dwindling just a bit. COVID has been a massive comeback, and don't call it a comeback. They've been here for years. And as we see brick and mortar continue to crumble, stocks like Macy's and, just in the recent history, J.C. Penney and Toys R Us, big brick and mortar stops are getting crushed, okay? And retail is picking up, not for Nike, of course, who reported a $790 million loss in the last quarter, probably because they made Colin Kaepernick the face of their new campaign, and 50% of Americans don't want to kneel. But when we want to talk about retail, we kneel at the altar of Erin Sykes, who joins us right now. She is a retail and sales strategist consultant, and also you may see her often on QVC, where she's a guest host. Thank you, Erin, for joining us once again.
Thanks so much for having me.
How you doing? Now I see you back in New York City. Welcome back. Greetings.
I know. It's great to be back in the city. I really missed it. I mean, I liked the sun in Florida, but now it's too hot. So I'm glad to be back here.
All right. Well, we miss you too. And your commentary on the retail sector is something our audience misses very much. And now the big news is that Amazon is going to delay Prime Day. What's happening here?
Yeah, so basically, Amazon has been backlogged for 3-4 months, and they don't need Prime Day right now. We kind of had 90 days of a constant Prime Day, so they need to get their ducks in order and really strategize for how to handle added volume, even once they've already been at added volume, so. They just need a little space to reorganize. That said, they're doing great. And similarly, Walmart just announced a new strategy for them, but basically competes with Amazon Prime, same-day delivery, and everything else. And Walmart had really been testing it through their grocery business for quite a few months. So they're going to be rolling out and really going toe-to-toe with Amazon.
So a couple years back, Walmart made a big acquisition, taking a giant stake, buying the whole company from Jet.com, which was the hot new sexy thing. Just recently, I know they adopted a whole bunch of Jet's philosophies and technological infrastructure, but recently they got rid of Jet. They shut it down. I guess they implemented all their technological advances, but they spent like $2.5 billion, and I guess they used it to soup up their infrastructure for online. And now they're going after Amazon in different ways, I guess.
Exactly. I mean, Walmart from the very beginning of their company has had incredible infrastructure. They have the ability to reach a vast number of people really quickly and really accurately, and Jet helped them fast forward that online. But Walmart has been a leader in AI and really using technology in a variety of ways. And a lot of times we always speak about Amazon because it tends to be top of mind. But in my opinion, Walmart has it going on just as well as Amazon does.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I am a connoisseur of web surfing for deals. Being a former overstocker myself, I always give Overstock the first preference. But then when you go, others who like this, and it always seems like, I don't think of it that way, but Walmart always seems to pop up in the searches as the equivalent product with a cheaper price. So maybe they are making a dent in Amazon.
Mm-hmm. They absolutely are. And I think that they performed just as well during the pandemic as Amazon did. Amazon, of course, has their own delivery service. And then we saw Target, which is also doing really well. And we sometimes forget about Target. They acquired Shipt and Deliv over the last few months, which helps them execute same-day delivery and also batching of orders. So it's not a one-horse race. You really have these three front runners well out ahead of everyone else in the retail space.
That's how it seems. I know we want to get to the Uber Postmates acquisition, but I don't know if you saw the news recently. Nike was on, going gangbusters, and all of a sudden in the last quarter, when many onliners, and Nike's really good at online, many onliners had great quarters last month. Nike reported a $790 million loss. They were expecting to make money in the quarter. They lost 33 cents. I feel like their public advocacy positions are starting to deteriorate, center-right people from buying their products. What do you think?
Yeah, well, they were expected to make money, especially because they're so big in China, and China had reopened months ago at this point. So it seemed like they got a head start on a lot of competition in terms of getting back out there. But because they have really utilized individuals like Colin Kaepernick that are extremely divergent, they really have an issue there in terms of their social stand, which did seem to make them make the money a few months ago when it was trending. And then I think that people, they're exhausted. They don't necessarily want their brands, their favorite brands, to have such strong social stances. They want the goods, they want something of great quality and design, but they don't want all of the other positioning behind it, because it makes it such a big decision when you're buying a pair of sneakers.
Yeah, it makes it stressful. It makes it stressful.
Exactly.
And like, all right, man, I don't want to have to think about whether or not I hate cops. I know I love cops. Now you're telling me a guy who's a cop hater is the face of your campaign. You're already stressing me out, right? And Erin, I'll just give you a quick anecdotal. I went shopping with my son because thankfully they allowed baseball to continue for kids. So my son had his first game yesterday. Took him over this weekend to get a new pair of cleats because he's growing like a weed. And, we're walking around the store and there's some beautiful looking Nikes there. And I'm like, you can get them if you want, And he's like, nah, I like these. I like the Under Armours. And he's like, he knows I am not for Nike. But the kid himself, who's not political, he doesn't care if it's not a video game. Kids, I think, are even understanding. They're the next generation. Moms are buying what the kids want. And I don't think the kids are buying it anymore.
No, and I do think that some of the other sneaker brands need to step up their game a little bit. I've actually been wearing Hoka's, which is a small line. It's Hoka 11, and I think that they have the style, and basically they're not Nike. So I kind of do the same thing as your son. I avoid Nike at this point.
I like that, and I have to tell you, I went shopping for some regular casual summer gear. And in Dick's, I was looking at these Under Armour shirts, and Under Armour has a whole line out for the summer now with 13 star circle with the Under Armour, and then all kinds of different colored shirts with flags and stars on the back that say freedom. So I think Under Armour is actually trying to pick up the ball and say, hey, if you hate Nike, come on down.
Yeah, Under Armour is a great brand, and their backbone is in performance apparel, meaning that they have the best sweat wicking, the non-chafing, all of those things for real, true, like athletic workouts. I mean, they even made spacesuits to put, I believe it was the Tesla, the SpaceX. I believe it was the SpaceX suits were made by Under Armour.
Wow, that I like. All right, in our final minute or so here, Erin, Postmates was thinking about going public. Their last round of financing was at $2.4 billion. Rumor is Uber to acquire them for $2.65 billion. Is this Uber trying to monopolize the food side now?
I mean, I think that they're paying a lot for Postmates here because Postmates it's still a crazy fragmented food delivery market. And I think basically this play by Uber was them realizing they had been left behind with the ride share, because Lyft really came out in front in terms of their service, in terms of the quality of rides, etc. And they're looking for almost anything else to create value other than the rideshare, because that is being dominated by Lyft. So, I've honestly never used Postmates. I've used Seamless, Delivery Dudes, Uber Eats,
Grubhub.
Caviar. But so I think that they have an issue if they're going to pay that much for such a small segment of the food delivery market.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. We got to leave it there, Aaron. But imagine if, like, one story comes out that some Postmates drivers got COVID. Nobody will ever call Postmates again, and $2 billion will be down the drain. So I feel like the volatility here is scary for all.
Agreed.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us, Aaron. You got to come back and see us soon, and stay well and healthy, my friend.
Thank you, too.
That's Erin Sykes. She is a retail analyst and QVC guest host every so often, but great friend of Liquid Lunch. Just like you, stay right there. We're going to come back with some more news of the day right after this.
Welcome back, folks.
I've been taking my makeup off every day with the coronavirus wipes. I'm still corona free.
You might be fake tan.
Well, that's because that's not a fake tan. That's a real thing.
This November. And Democrats don't want to see it, at least establishment ones. It seems like they're trying to sort of.
All right, just breezing through this first hour here of Liquid Lunch today. And, I'm sorry if I got a little too serious in that last segment, but I'm just sitting there last night, as a parent and as someone who, tries to be involved in the public dialogue and discourse as much as I possibly can, where I think, my inputs are valuable. I'm sitting there saying, what is this BLM really about? If now they're just shooting at random cars with black people in them, then, is the name representative of the whole cause? And are things that were started with the right intentions now, have they been hijacked? I'm going to talk in hour 2 about all the reasons why I don't think that's true, that this wasn't started with the best of intentions. But right now, someone who can break this down for us tremendously, who understands both sides of the coin. We've been covering Joe Biden for a while, and just a couple of months back, he said, if you're black and if you're not decided who you're voting for, me or Trump, then you ain't black. And I think I know who this person is going to be voting for. Joining me now, Tisha Powell, nationally acclaimed attorney and also the author of the book, Trump Must Win, and we will discover the dark days we will face if Trump isn't reelected. Tisha, thanks so much. She's reaching for the book. There it is. Trump Must Win, and go out and check that out. But never has the title of a book been so poignant to the sign of our times. Trump Must Win, Tisha. And it looks like the Black Lives Matter movement, which may have been started with good intentions, is possibly being infiltrated now by thugs and criminals, and the movement may be getting, dispersed because of it.
Yes, it's so sad, John, because this is one of the largest civil rights movement in American history. Even, the New York Times was even probably pointing to that. But now, sadly, John, it's been hijacked by criminals. I mean, when you are literally killing people, you're killing people, God's people, you are destroying buildings, you are like taking people's livelihood. I think it's now time that we go back to a civilized country. And, it's just sad, John, if you hear what's coming out of Atlanta with an 8-year-old girl killed. And even that mayor, which I heard now is on, Joe Biden's small list for running for being vice president. I mean, people are saying that maybe if she had curbed the you know, the protesting earlier, this 8-year-old girl wouldn't have lost her life. And it's sad. It's sad that we're killing, as Black people, other Blacks are dying now for the cause. And I think it's time for us to pause and recognize that the cause is not to kill anyone. It's not to kill a white person. It wasn't to kill a Black person. It was to bring equality and justice for all Black people. But now when you start killing people, what do you do, John? Isn't it time for us to just disperse and move on?
Yeah, I really don't think, Tisha, that that all the people that are dying for the cause. They're kind of this 8-year-old girl that you're pointing out that we talked about. She wasn't for the cause. She was killed by the cause, not for it, by it. So I mean, who's bringing these people to justice right now? We know what happened. Right? The car got shot at. Who's going after the murderer of an 8-year-old child?
John, it's really sad. But like I said, if Black Lives Matter, why aren't Black children lives being mattered? Black on Black crime is big in America. Gangs kill gangs every day, John. Black people are involved in gangs. And why are we bringing this attention as well? Because Black Lives Matter. So why are the gang members still killing people if Black lives really matter? It's time that we kind of look and saying, okay, you have Black with police, but what about Black on Black crime? What about that? We have to address that. What about the fact that former Vice President Joe Biden is responsible for so many Black men in jail? He did nothing when Bill Clinton did that 3-strike rule.
That's
Why are
right.
we bringing that cause to attention?
So let me ask you this, Tisha. As a Black woman who's, broken many barriers, you're an attorney, you're a nationally known television figure, and you're always so kind to give us your time. So you understand this all around. When you look around and say, well, people who, like me, who are Black and believe in God, and believe that love is in the heart, and believe that we need to have a good, free economy, who are the people that you look up to that are leaders for that cause across America? Because I don't see a lot of that.
I actually look up to the Republican Party and President Donald Trump. And, they say Black Lives Matter. I got suspended again from Twitter. I'm a Black woman living in America, and I'm voting for Donald Trump come November. And apparently Jack Dorsey and Twitter, they're not very happy about this. So you talk about racism in America, John. It's real. It's happening today. Candace Owen got suspended as well. She's a Black woman. Terrence got suspended. All the Black people that are coming out for Trump were suspended from Twitter. I mean, this is racism, John. This is racism in America. And you wonder why I'm going to be voting for Donald Trump? Because I am sick of racism in America. The Democratic Party is a big racist party, John. And CNN is not showing it. It's just Newsmax and Fox that are showing Black people supporting Trump. This is 2020. And why are you the only one showing Black people supporting Trump? Where is CNN? Where is Don Lemon? When I'm being suspended in America from Twitter, where is everybody to help me? Black lives really matter.
So 2 things I want to cover with you, Tisha, and thank you for your passion as always. I don't want you to hold back, though. I feel like you're holding back a little bit on me, but no. When I look out there and I see, just before COVID, African unemployment lowest in history, African new business startups highest in history, African American home ownership up the highest highest spike in history. Do you feel like at some point this establishment, George Soros, Nancy Pelosi, and others started figuring out, wait, hey, Trump is making inroads by doing actions with the African American community and improving their quality of life? Is that contributing to what's happening right now because they want them to hate Trump?
Yes, John, and I'm going to say this, and it's, if Trump doesn't win, a lot of Black people are going to lose our jobs. We're going to go back to the plantation and slavery mentality, because that's what the Democratic Party wants for us, John.
Yeah, I saw a I saw a great meme out there that said, Black lives matter, but black votes matter more. You know what I'm saying? Like the Democratic Party just keeps coming back to the inner city every 4 years to say, hey, we're doing a great job for you. You need us in there to fight those tyrants. But I want you to do a couple of guesses on something with me, okay? The 13th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution abolished slavery. One party voted, 100% of one party voted to abolish slavery. 23% of another party voted against abolishing slavery. Who voted against slavery 100%?
The Republican Party voted to end slavery. The Democratic Party didn't.
Thank you. Okay, hold on. I want to amaze our audience with your brilliance. The 14th Amendment gave slaves who were recently freed citizenship. 94% of one party voted to give slaves citizenship. 0% of another party voted against that. Who was the 94%?
The Republican Party again voted.
This girl is amazing at this game. The 15th Amendment gave the right to vote for everyone. Everyone. 100% of one party voted to give everyone rights to vote. 0% of the other party voted to give freed slaves the right to vote. Who was the 100%?
The Republican Party, once again, always coming through for the blacks.
She's 3 for 3. She's won. She's the new host of the show. I'm taking the next week off. Tisha's going to be here in my place. She's undefeated. But Tisha, thank you so much. The point I'm trying to make here is these things, to me, are the most critical things that we should be considering when we understand everything we're facing. And it all started with 100% of the Democrats voting against ending slavery. So they're probably really the bad guys. Thank you, Tisha.
Thank you, John.
You're the best. We'll talk to you soon. That's Tisha Powell. Go out and check out her book, Trump Must Win, or Discover the Dark Days Ahead for America. It's out there, and she's one of the best. Thanks so much. You're watching Liquid Lunch. We're going to take a quick break here. I'm going to come back with the news of the day and talk about how more thugs are beheading and killing Christopher Columbus statues. Quick break, more Liquid Lunch right after this. All righty, welcome back. Kicking it live today. I just want to wish a very special happy birthday to my buddy Bobby Blue Eyes, Bobby Pappy, who turns 49 today, and he's a great friend to the community and the sports communities, and all around wonderful guy, great dad, and happy birthday, Pappy. On another note, Charlie Daniels died yesterday, deceased, one of the great, country singers of all time. And, I always thought Charlie Daniels was related to Jack Daniels for some reason, because, you listen to some of that Devil Gone Down to Georgia and slugging down some Jack Daniels, you just automatically think that the two Daniels are related, but they're not, but they kind of went together. My buddy Bob Comp said that he was not actually a one-hit wonder. He had a lot of other great songs, but that was probably the most, got the most notoriety, and remains to be a great song. I don't know, I gotta listen to the lyrics. Devil Went Down to Georgia. Georgia had some, a police killing, so the song may be banned soon, but who knows, hopefully, maybe coming to one of the other segments, play a little Charlie Daniels. I continue to be completely confused and frustrated by trying to understand where are the leaders of the black community who will stand up and say, okay, yes, Black Lives Matter, but all Black Lives Matter too. And I was pleasantly surprised yesterday to see an unbelievably concise, statement of his own personal opinions and feelings by none other than Marcellus Wiley, former tremendous NFL player. And I want you to take a look at this, and then I want to get into a little further on what he says and how it relates to Black Lives Matter. Let's check out Marcellus Wiley.
I don't know how many people really look into the mission statement of Black Lives Matter, but I did. And when you look into it, there's a couple things that jump out to me. And I'm a black man who's been black, and my life has mattered since 1974. And this organization was founded in 2013. I'm proud of you. But I've been fighting this fight for me and for others a lot longer. Two things. My family structure is so vital, important to me. Not only the one I grew up in, but the one I'm trying to create right now. Being a father and a husband, that's my mission in life right now. How do I reconcile that, what I just told you, with this mission statement that says, quote, "We dismantle the patriarchal practice. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement." When I know statistics, when I know my reality, forget statistics. I knew this before I even went to Columbia and saw these same statistics that I'm going to read to you right now. That children from single-parent homes versus two-parent homes. The children from the single-parent homes, this is in 1995 I was reading this. 5 times more likely to commit suicide, 6 times more likely to be in poverty, 9 times more likely to drop out of high school, 10 times more likely to abuse chemical substances, 14 times more likely to commit rape, 20 times more likely to end up in prison, and 32 times more likely to run away from home. I knew that. You know why I knew it? Because a lot of my friends didn't have family structures that were nuclear like mine, and they found themselves outside of their dreams and goals and aspirations. So when I see that, or as a mission statement for Black Lives Matter, it makes me scratch my head. When I also see their mission is to eradicate white supremacy. In 2020, white supremacy is the mission. Woo, that's a lot of digging through minutia right there. I am on a show that I'm hosting along with another black guy who is hosting with me, who replaced another black guy. And that's just one example of it. So I understand, I respect your space. I respect what you're protesting for. But will you respect others who don't support that same protest?
There's our guy, okay? There's someone who could put it in perspective like I haven't seen. And I mean, I like Marcellus Wiley as a player. What did he play for, Nico? The Cowboys he played for, right, Wiley? Nico's my sports guy. He doesn't remember who Marcellus Wiley played for. I'm pretty sure he played for the Cowboys, and a Giant fan. I hate Cowboys, but still, he was a beast of a player. He was a beast of a player all around. But here's the thing. He said some stuff that I don't hear anyone else saying, especially anyone else in the African-American community. I don't hear anyone saying it, and it was the most sound thing I've heard. If you support Black Lives Matter as the organization that's going to go out and advocate for your life and more social justice, less police brutality, okay, that I understand. But you should know the organization that you're joining up with. So Marcellus Wiley said it, but in case it didn't resonate with you, I want to put it up there. Here is a statement from one of the founders of Black Lives Matter, this lady Colors, okay? And she said, you know, I'm a trained organizer and we're all trained Marxists. And, you know, she quotes from, you know, Karl Marx. And what one of their tenets is in their actual mission statement is destroying the patriarchal manifestation, disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. So they want to destroy the patriarchal structure. Patriarchal, of course, patriarch, matriarch, pa, ma. Patriarchal structure is father at the home with the mother, okay? And they want to destroy the nuclear family. And I think many people, including, Morgan Freeman and Denzel Washington, have said, we got to focus on rebuilding the nuclear family to have, both parents at home with these kids. And maybe we can get, knock down some of these stats. 5 times single-parent homes, African-American community, 5 times more likely to commit suicide, 10 times more likely to abuse drugs, and 20 times more likely to end up in prison. So kudos to Marcellus Wiley. And for those of you out there who are supporting Black Lives Matter, remember, one of the key tenets that's behind all of the noise, follow the signal, not the noise, the destruction of the nuclear family. That's what they want. That's what this country was built on. We'll take a quick break, come right back and kick off hour 2 right after this. All righty, welcome back. We're just kicking off hour 2 here on a terrific Tuesday on Liquid Lunch. Lots of great things happening all around the world. On Wednesday, there is going to be, right here in Staten Island, New York, there is going to be a completely peaceful support rally to boost the morale of the men in blue. And it's called Boost the Blue. And one of the main organizers of that event is going to be here in just a little bit to talk to us about it. Scott LeBedo is going to be here to talk about why cops all around the country are so beat down mentally, psychologically, that while the cause may be construed as something else that suits someone else's political favor, this is to come out and show the men and women in blue that we want to boost their morale. So we'll talk about that a little more in this hour. And Dr. Dean Hart's going to be here. He's a microbiologist. He's one of the funniest guys around, and he's like right on the money. We're going to talk to him about masks and spreading and spiking and all that other crap. But I continue to be enraged that Christopher Columbus is under attack by this burgeoning and broadening Black Lives Matter movement, and I can't figure out why Christopher Columbus is a signal to this growing mob of something bad. Let's just put things into perspective here. He found the joint, okay? He came from Italy, and he thought he was going to Asia, but somehow or another he wound up here. He found the place. Did he participate in practices of those times? Probably, but so did a heck of a lot of people. And as I mentioned in the end of hour 1, if we're going to start digging into what people did, hundreds of years ago, the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment, these were voted 100% to end slavery, give citizenship to freed slaves, okay? 100% voted by Republicans. 0 Democrats at that time voted to end slavery and to give freed slaves the right to vote, okay? 0. So there was a lot of Democrats around who didn't happen to find America, who didn't sail here on a journey from Italy. Why aren't we going after them? I bet these crazy old coots in the KKK back then put up some statues around their cities. Why don't we start identifying the old Democrats who flew the Confederate flag and voted against ending slavery? Why don't we go after them? Look at this. In Baltimore, they took a Christopher Columbus statue down. Okay, they're all going nuts. Okay, they rip it down and throw it in the ocean. I would have taken it here. Show that video, Jess. Look at it. Look at these.
get rid of this nigga. Christopher Columbus, do you? Do you?
Uniform. You see the people who were doing it, right? They had a whole black ninja outfit on, with just their eyes showing. They rip it down, and they're carrying it to the water. They dump it in. They dump it in the ocean. Okay. You know, a uniformed militia starts to become a lot easier to track down by the National Guard. So hopefully they're doing something about it. But just going out of this segment, take a look at all these kids of privilege, probably standing there, cheering, while Christopher Columbus, the guy who found America, gets thrown in the river. Watch this. Quick break. Back after this with Dr. Dean Hart.
Oh, they got it. They got it. Crazy. That was actually, I just found out it's a Christopher Columbus statue. They got it. Anyway, they came after me for taking my video, Somebody else gets in my face, I'm gonna hit them. I'm freaking dead. I won't deal with this.
In the markets here, a little bit of volatility going on, down about 200. Futures were indicating down a bit more than that this morning, so it's kind of holding its own here, down 200. But 26,084. You know me, I like those big round numbers. When you see the market close just below a 26,000, anything with an 000, it breaks into the new numbers. That's usually the sign of another downturn coming. To me, just some of the tricks I use to analyze things. But market is holding 26, which is good news. It breaks through here. Any bad news, 24 is right around the corner. Don't believe the hype on this overbuying right now just yet. Okay, Bitcoin at 92.50. Down 100 today, but still holding really strong in that $9,000 to $10,000 range. A close above 10,000, a couple of days of consolidation over 10.3, and we could see a 20% jump here very, very shortly. So keep your eye on the Bitcoin. One of the things that may affect the market significantly is the volatility of the ever-changing and ever-moving target of spikes, increases, infections, cases, etc. And a guy who knows a heck of a lot more about this stuff than me joins me right now, Dr. Dean Hart. He is an expert in microbiology, published author on the transmission of viruses and diseases, and a great friend of Liquid Lunch. So, you know, I was tying it into the markets here because I think people would be very unwise to think that we're stabilized with the coronavirus news and think that the market's just going to all of a sudden be back to good. And I think the long-term prospects are bad for a lot of reasons. But short-term, these reports continue to show spikes, resurgence everywhere else. Slowly reopening New York now. They paused the indoor dining thing, so they must know something we don't know. Is this still a work in progress here, or are we getting fed a load of malarkey?
Well, when it comes to the market, I'll leave you to be opinionated on that. When it comes to the virus, we have a big bioethical conundrum. Above all else, our children need the next generation. They need education, and they're not getting it. And now we have the fall coming up, and it would seem nobody is really focused on it. They're focused on peaks and spikes and all that. COVID is going to be with us in the fall. You'll remember when you asked me if we were going to get a break in the summer because it was nice and hot and sunny. I said, well, there's no data to support that. We didn't get a break in the summer. And in the fall, we're not going to get any different than the summer. There's no dire seasonal variation so far. So we have to prepare our schools and try to get through this, but nobody's preparing the schools, the environment. For instance, I have a list of 10 different things I'd like to see done so my 10 and 13-year-old can get the heck back to elementary and junior high school.
Well, give us the list. Let's start working on it.
When you walk in, there should be hand sanitizers, and in every classroom, a hand sanitizer. That's easy. At night, operating rooms, and President Trump has mentioned, ultraviolet kills these bugs. It will give you eye disease, so you can't use the ultraviolet while you're there. When you close up the buildings, you can sterilize, disinfect, come close to sterilization with ultraviolet lights and kill everything that's left on the surfaces overnight.
Hey, Doc, wait, hang on. I want you to go through all these, but just a point of interest here. Wasn't there a time a few months ago where Donald Trump was asking if we can hit the virus with ultraviolet light, and they went crazy on him? Turns out every hospital...
You can't hit the people. You can hit the surfaces when you're not there.
Understood. Okay, number 3.
Okay, how's about increasing the filtration so we get HEPA filtration and a lot of airflow going on? That would be essential. Also, keep students 6 feet apart. So some of those office spaces that aren't being used because lawyers have found this telemedicine approach, and everybody's using the telecommunications on the internet. We have empty office spaces. Break down classes and have less people in each class and use some of those empty office spaces. And then separating people definitely works. Indoors is always fraught with peril. So when you talk about restaurants and bars and churches, that pales to me compared to opening the schools. We have to worry about our children first and foremost. And that's the way life is. That's nature. Nature wins. Nature's going to be here in spring and fall and winter. And who knows when we can beat it with a vaccine, but it isn't going to be by the fall of 2020. There are all sorts of other ideas, but nobody's doing any of them. Nobody's focused on opening the schools. There are ways you can do it. They're a little expensive, but handing out cash to people as they stay on in the unemployment line, that's not as good as sending my kids back and spending the money on that mission.
No doubt. Hey, Doc, my son's 14, and I said, you know, I'm railing every day on TV about, you know, the kids should be going back to school, we should get back to normal. Do you really even care? You know, I asked my own son, he's 14, and he said, yeah, Dad. He says, go on there and say I'm getting stupider because we're not learning anything at home. They're giving us work that we got to hand in at the end of the day, and the school's trying their best, but we're not focused. We're not in school. We're not around other people. We're not talking. We're just sitting in our room, and I'm getting stupider was the grammatically incorrect term my own son used, but I totally got it, you know?
Mine say I'm becoming a video game connoisseur and master, but that wasn't the idea. Pinball machines was the idea when I was a kid, but they cost money. These are free. There's no end to the goof off they do. Their bodies are falling apart. Their minds are not growing. So we're getting degeneration of the body, and the socialization skills, well, that you can't do this way. We try and we communicate with the audience as we do now, but it's nothing's like being in class.
Nope. And, you know, these kids, unfortunately, of this generation, they're already struggling in the social communication department because they've all been on phones since they're 10. So they'd rather text you when you're in the next room than actually get up and come talk to you. Doc, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
The other day, I was just joking around about it. The kids were over the weekend, and we were in the pool, and they were, you know, egging me on to do a belly flop. They always love, since I'm a kid, since they're kids, when I do a belly flop, right? So I say, you know what? Let me make the kids laugh. They're older. I can still do it. So I do one. You know what I mean? And they're cracking up laughing for about 30 seconds. And I'm like in the pool, like, you know, we're all gonna hang out. And then they are right over back at the edge of the pool on their phones like this. You know, Dad's already out of the picture. You know what I mean?
Were they videotaping you so they could post it on their, what is it, Facebook, or what do kids use these days?
Oh yeah, my daughter Victoria, of course, videoed it, and then, you know, it made its way to social media, and I got some high ratings for my form on the belly flop, but the kids went back to texting moments later. Let me ask you this. Cuomo and de Blasio are in a war of mixed messages, right? Every time de Blasio says something, Cuomo changes it. They both finally agreed on something. They're going to pause indoor dining and the reopening of restaurants, retail, and other concerns that air conditioning may be spreading viruses. Is your HEPA solution a simple one, or is this just another shakedown by Cuomo and de Blasio to make major commercial owners spend more money?
Well, it's kind of two different directions. The politicians latch onto things. The virus is about 100 nanometers. That is smaller than the wavelength of light. So a gust of wind, it can pick up the viral particle, which is about 30,000 bytes or base pairs. It's light and fluffy, so it can float in the air and be aerosolized. And that was a big debate last week, can it be? And there's no doubt when you're that small, it's possible. Usually it's sneezing at 150 miles an hour and coughing on somebody that communicates the germs. However, the air conditioner is a factor. If you have a flow down and out, and HEPA filtered, maybe ozonated, maybe not, ultraviolet sterilized air in, and you drain all the air out through the bottom, then the virus will obviously, but it's not cheap.
No, I'm saying right. It's less likely to be spreadable, and it's a big capital investment. All right, Doc, we gotta leave it there. We gotta leave it there. I'm sorry, we're out of time.
The schools need to do this.
The schools we should be invested in. I'm with you. That's Dr. Dean Hart, expert in microbiology and master of the art of the transmission of viruses.
For more Liquid Lunch, head over to YouTube, do a search for Liquid Lunch TV, and hit that subscribe button.
All right, welcome back. We're just breezing through hour two here, and lucky enough on a terrific Tuesday to get one of my good buddies down here to the studio with us. Joining me today is famed artist and conservative artist, I must say. Scott LoBaido joins us again. How are you, buddy?
Good, man.
So Scott recently opened up his newest gallery, the Scott LoBaido Gallery, and it's killing it. As you know, we were down there for opening day. Still waiting for my prints, which I know you guys are so overloaded now with all the demand you're getting.
Did you pay for them?
Well, if you remember, I was the first purchase at the LoBaido Gallery.
I think we got your quarter up on the
Yeah, all right, fine. I put 25 cents up. Anyhow, Scott does so much good. He's traveled around the country, painted his very unique style of flags everywhere. And now, Scotty, you know, we come from Staten Island where a lot of cops and firemen and sanitation people, we grew up with them. We know them, right? My dad was a cop. There's so much craziness going on. I've been talking all day about how being for the police doesn't mean you're against BLM.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point.
And you know, Frank, I was on Frank's radio show this morning on 77 WABC, and he was talking about how, you know, some people are getting like canceled or doxxed, as they call it, because you like something that seems like it supports cops, so you get hit. I'm saying it's worse than that now. If you like an organization that they think doesn't like BLM, you're in trouble for liking someone they don't like.
Liberalism used to be a great word. Liberalism changed. It's now become the fascists that they called us. Us knuckle-dragging, ignorant, conservative, bigoted, racist, homophobic maniacs that we were oppressing everybody. It flipped. It flipped. It totally flipped. So anything that they disagree with, you are labeled the worst thing you could be labeled. And one of them is a racist. Remember they put me on... Quickly, I put up this, I do a lot of activism. pro, I do political stuff, and I do a lot of stuff for the community on my own dime when people die, when people are sick. An old World War II veteran from Pearl Harbor, a black guy, lost everything. His family stole his home and his money. He had nothing. I found out he never received his medals from Pearl Harbor. I spent my own money and time, and I got him for this. You think I gave a hell what color this guy was? So much stuff I do like that, and I don't want to brag. But I put up this, remember I put up this beautiful, right in the middle of the tension that we had a couple of weeks ago. It was an installation. I made it fast to what I had. It made it of duct tape and wire, and it was 2 black people and 2 white people working together, pushing up this ladder to this beautiful peace sign with the American flag on it. And it represented, we can work together. Now, this is all it was. And I said, who's going to complain about this? The liberal, white,
lynch mob,
artsy group went ballistic because a conservative had compassion, which they don't comprehend. See, we're conservative. We're not supposed to. We're supposed to be that Nazi Gestapo.
Right.
They don't want us to be compassionate.
of course.
So they hate me even
So
more.
let me just paint this picture, or, to, turn a phrase, which I couldn't paint the picture better than you. But you made a little piece of performance art, right? Is that what they call it? Like 2 black kids and 2 white
It
kids.
was an art installation.
An art installation. Little stick figures, no major, detail on them. It was just like 2 generic black kids, 2 generic white kids, pushing up a ladder to
Like Iwo Jima.
Right, to like a big high peace sign. So to me, when I saw that, I'm thinking, wow, that means let's black and white together, let's raise that ladder together to reach to new heights and find peace. That's what I read there.
Listen, I don't believe in what you believe. You don't believe in what I believe. That should not make us enemies. And it's turned that way. And it's disgusting. The hatred is phenomenal. Look, I'm a provocative artist. Do I put up Trump 2020 billboards around? Yes, I do. But I also do this compassionate stuff. And here this was unity, nothing controversial, apolitical. And they went ballistic, nuts. Anyway, they put me on a list. They started this page called Exposing Staten Island Racists.
Yep.
Okay, I was at the top of the list. They gave out my information. Me, a racist. They use this word, and I've said this before on your show. It's very important. The word racist, racism, is a very important historical ugly word in this country that they have abused, and it's become numb. We become numb to this word because they throw it at anybody.
Yep.
John, you got a blue suit on with white stripes. You're a racist. It's gotten to the insanity of that.
My whole wardrobe is gone if that's the case. I mean, I got nothing but blue suits with pinstripes on them. So, Scotty, look, I was, Scotty and I, talk about ways where you can, peacefully demonstrate your First Amendment rights. We had the rally going back a few weeks ago down at the tanning salon to open the business. You were there to support me, thank you, along with many hundreds of others. And you still get hate. I still got hate for that. So now the new move is I've been wearing the NYPD hat once in a while on the show because my dad was a cop and I support cops and I think 99.9% of them are good. Okay? You're doing it, you're taking it a step further now. And tomorrow night right here in Staten Island, New York, you have called for a Boost the Blue support rally. You want to get people out there, wear something blue. I'm suggesting maybe bring a blue light, like a little flashlight or something. If it gets a little darker, we can put the blue lights up. I'm going to be there, of course. I'm going to ask anybody in Staten Island or around that supports police to please come join Scott in this great effort. But these people are psychologically wounded right now.
It's
They
so
need someone
sad.
to boost their morale.
Look, we all know cops. How many do I have in my family? How many friends do we have? That's the community. They're all good people. They don't have a racist bone in their body. You have to, look, here it is. BML, this isn't an anti-BML rally I'm having. Believe me, it's nothing to do with that. That's your First Amendment right, except for the violence and the destruction. But to protest all you want, I do it all the time. I love that. This is a boost to morale of the NYPD. If you have a pilot that is not in a good mood, you want to feel safe in that airplane? Your taxi driver, do you want him angry and miserable? No, you want them happy. You want them to be content and feel like they're wanted. And look at this society. We don't have to go to Chicago. I was going to go to Chicago. I don't have to go. It's right here. Chicago is here now because the thin blue line has been desecrated. And that's disgusting. So tomorrow night's rally is to boost. Yes, Black lives do matter, and if anybody out there thinks that they don't come to the event. But also, and so do blue lives, and it's that simple.
So I was talking a little earlier in the show that, I was talking to some people who really understand, the black struggle and the black movement. I think they understand it smartly. And they were saying, originally Black Lives Matter was supposed to mean, the implication was Black Lives Matter too. Like, not that they're better than everyone, but they're Black Lives Matter too.
But you know that they got infiltrated by the young white radical socialists that infiltrated. When's the last time you heard George Floyd's name? It turned into this new social thing about taking down everything that stands for America.
All right. We got to leave it there, buddy. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You guys out there, if you're watching, come on down tomorrow night, 122 Precinct in the middle of Staten Island, and boost the blue. Morale needs to get boosted, and Scotty's going to have another great piece of art that he's going to unveil tomorrow night, too. Thanks a lot, brother. Appreciate it. We'll be... we have so many great guests joining us, but today we have quite a special one. Kurt Schlichter is going to join us in just a little bit. He's a columnist for Town Hall. He's a trial lawyer, also an Army colonel. And we're going to try to break down the question of why the left is resorting to violence to win votes. Now, my argument has been for a little bit here that the establishment on the Democratic side, Nancy Pelosi, and also Barack Obama, who has a big say in things, and Hillary Clinton and the Clinton cartel have made a significant investment in making sure that the minority communities that were doing so well in Trump's economy don't continue to do well because they've resorted to violence. Kurt Schlichter's written about it, he's talked about it, and he's a quite better person to talk about it than myself. Joins us right now. He's a Town Hall columnist, trial lawyer, and also Army colonel. Kurt, thanks for giving us a few minutes today. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. I really appreciate being out here. I'm calling you from California, the home of chaos and comorbidity. So,
wow.
Welcome.
So,
welcome to my yard.
Yeah, I have been, which doesn't happen a lot on television, but I have been trying to, talk about sane topics like, factual evidence that Black Lives Matter is founded on a bunch of principles, and one of the key ones being destroying the patriarchal structure in the household, destroying the nuclear family. And I think that's, kind of what's been the problem for, minority communities for a while, that the nuclear family was broken up. Why are they now resorting to violence to make sure minorities and African Americans in particular vote for Joe Biden?
Well, look, I'm an Army colonel, War College graduate, strategy guy. I disagree with you in the sense that I don't think they're actually using violence in the sense of a kinetic fight. In the Los Angeles riots, which I was in, I was mobilized with the 3rd Battalion, 160th Infantry, spent 3 weeks on the ground with an M16 suppressing it. You had mass violence. You had people killed and buildings burned, and it was mass violence. There is some violence here. There's a little bit of it, but it's not designed to achieve an objective by the actual destruction. It's designed to tell us you are powerless, things are out of control, we're in command, we own you. They did that because they wanted to send a message. In a kinetic fight, you destroy the enemy. You literally kill them. In an information fight, you convince them to do what you want, and gosh, how many of these sap Republicans have gone and done what they want? They're coming out here. We got statues being toppled. We got freeways being blocked. And they're going, well, I bet you sent me to Washington to change some holidays around.
Yeah,
They just fell for it.
doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. And, you know, I know you're the author of the book, The 21 Biggest Lies About Donald Trump, you know, quotes, and you. And you talk about where there's no persuasion, there's only force, and they want to shame you into submission. I just had a guy on my show who's a patriotic artist. He's a conservative artist, but he's quite the artist, okay? And he's now being attacked by the cancel culture because he did, you know, an art installation that supported Donald Trump. And these arts people are supposed to be the most open-minded. They're supposed to accept everyone and love everyone. And it seems, to your point here, they'll shame you these days for not even doing anything. The thing you've done wrong is supported a cause that they don't like. So you can default be shamed now.
You became an obstacle. Look, it's not like you can talk them out of it. You can't go, well, I support Donald Trump, but I believe in this and that, and we share these views. None of it matters. It's all about intimidating you into silence. The proper response when someone attempts to cancel you is a string of obscenities that would make a sailor blush. We've got to stop caring. The power of caring is what they leverage against us. Look, I served overseas for a long time. I spent a lot of time in the Balkans and Middle East, in Europe. And, you know, there's this image of the ugly American, but that's a lie. Americans are very nice. And a normal American, if you go up to him and go, you're a racist, his immediate thought isn't, why, I'm going to slug you. It's, holy cow, no one would call me something so terrible unless I'd done something. Let me think. I'll take a personal inventory and see if it's true, because we tend to default to believing that our opponents are acting in good faith and making good faith claims, and then we attempt to reason out of it. But when we're dealing with our garbage elite, the people who run things and want power back because we fired them in 2016 because they're terrible, right? You know, we don't have a generation that, I don't know, beat the Depression and destroyed Hitler, or that actually dismantled structural racism and sent a man to the moon. We have a generation that gave us Iraq and Wall Street meltdown and Grindr. So we have the world's worst elite right now. We fired them. They want power back, and you can't reason them out of it.
So, yeah.
Reason is a weakness.
Yeah. I have come under, you know, some social media attacks for wearing an NYPD ball cap on my show because my dad is a proud retired member of the NYPD, so I have every reason in the world to respect the blue, which I do. But, you know, Kurt, you'll get this. I was with a bunch of people over the weekend, a person of Italian heritage, a person of Israeli heritage, a black person, and a person of Persian, okay? And I asked them this one question, okay? I said, hey, if you're anywhere in the world and you're in an endangered situation and from afar you're threatened, you're scared, you're cornered, whatever it may be, you're feeling a fight or flight coming over you, and from afar you see the NYPD blue car coming, would you be relieved or scared? And every person across the board says, my God, my anxiety would go down immediately. And I say, well, those same cops would be charging towards you, whether you were from Persia or whether you were from the Bronx. Why are the police so under attack when they're the ones that create the safety that makes our civilization exist?
Well, it's because they create the safety that makes this civilization exist. They're an obstacle to power. If you can neuter them, and you can neuter them by convincing the Democrat mayor or the Democrat governor to refuse to allow them to do their job, while simultaneously making it unbelievably risky to their future, their lives, and maybe even their freedom. If they do their job, cops are going to say, you want to kill each other? Go kill each other. I'll help. But if you're telling me not to, and you're going to put me in jail for stopping it, then, you know, make it happen. And we've seen the bloody consequences. Shootings are up through the roof in Democrat cities. We had a poor little girl murdered by these scumbags in Atlanta just the other day. There were no cops around this Wendy's where these scumbags had set up. And, you know, there is an answer. And the answer is going to happen because I don't think you're going to talk Americans into thinking, well, gosh, I guess I am reinforcing the colonialist, cisgender, racist power structure.
Yeah.
I better commit ritual suicide. You're
Yeah.
going to see Americans go, yeah, I tried to be nice. I listened to your complaints in good faith. And now I've bought a gun, and now I'm sliding shells into my 12 gauge, my Remington 870. And, you know, if you guys want to play horsey, yeah, you might want to ask the Brits about how that worked out for them.
Come on down. Yeah, there's this couple, I guess they're out in St. Louis.
Yeah.
They got word that they were coming at them, and they loaded up their legal weapons, and they went out on their lawn and said, come on, bring it on down. And now they're
Of course,
being
they're the bad guys.
Yeah, they're
Right?
being vilified.
They're
by
the bad
left.
guys. Well, here's the thing. A lot of Americans said, well, hell yeah, stay off my... You want to protest, that's fine. You threaten me. They even threatened the guy's dog.
Yeah, we're
You
going to kill
threaten
the
my
dog, we're going to
dog,
light your house down.
somebody's having a bad day. I'm pretty sure it ain't going to be me. Yeah, and I think, you know, you can push people a lot.
Got it.
But at some point, you got to choose between whether you're going to die or you're going to fight. And I think a lot of people are going to go, nah, I'm going to fight.
I'm good.
I'm 50. Look,
I'm ready to
55
fight.
years
Yeah.
old, man. I've
Hey.
deployed twice. I've been in riots and stuff. I'm too old to live on my knees.
All right,
My
Kurt.
knees are crotchety. They crack.
Yeah.
So-
All right, Kurt, we got to
so-
leave it there. We're out of time, but you got to come back and hang with us again. Thank you.
All right, and go buy my book.
Kurt Schlichter, go check out the 21 biggest lies about Donald Trump right away. Quick break, back after this. Buzzing through hour two. We buzzed right through it, to be honest with you. It's almost over, but don't go nowhere yet. We got a great wrap up here. We got the closer here with us, the watchdog of Wall Street. Chris Marcas is going to join us in just a minute. I've been telling you all day that we got this exclusive footage of Nancy Pelosi from a 4th of July party this weekend. She's so excited about all the damage they think they're doing to Donald Trump that looks like she got a little tipsy and tried to dive in her friend's pool with a colossal fail, possibly. Take a look at this exclusive Liquid Lunch footage, Nancy Pelosi this weekend at a July 4th party.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my.
Gag on you there. That was from Barstool Sports, and that was not Nancy Pelosi, obviously, because the girl looked like she was in pretty good shape. Nancy Pelosi's 1,000. Anyhow, I found it funny, so I was trying to find a way to get it into the show and inject a little humor. But Nancy Pelosi is quite excited that they extended the PPP, so there's more invisible money made at the unknown printing press to give out to all the people, so they don't have to go back to work. But the PPP has helped some companies, and that is kind of leading to a big improvement in jobs numbers, and otherwise the market's at new heights where I didn't expect it to be. But my buddy who watches over all of this stuff reports now to us from New York. Chris Markowski's here. He's the host of the Watchdog on Wall Street radio show, president of Markowski Investments. And Chris, thanks for joining us. What is this market? What's happening with this market right now? I don't believe the hype on it.
It's tough. Listen, John, I don't know about you. I've never seen an environment like this where there's just so much money sloshing around all over the place. And you're right. You talk about it as in terms of funny money. How do you trade it and how do you fight it? That's the thing. You're trying to guess what's going to happen next. And the reality of the situation, it's not even a printing press. It's just a button. Even today, they had a bond offering today that was oversubscribed. It's ultra low 3-year yields coming out here. It's unbelievable, the demand for U.S. paper. Again, despite the rest of the world, people tend to think that we're, I guess, in better shape than everybody else, and money continues to flow in this direction. We all know that can happen for a period of time, and then guess what? It can happen in the other direction. You can end up with Zimbabwe bucks. I don't know how we're going to pull ourselves out of this. It's modern monetary theory all the way, it seems like to me.
Yeah, I was talking a little bit earlier in the show about how there's, me personally, I kneel at the altar of free markets. And anytime the government has to start injecting artificial dough into the markets, it probably is going to have some after effect. You know, I use the example like when you drink NyQuil, it works
Yes.
if you're going on a flight or something. But then the next day you're still groggy, and you got to like work out, sweat it out, jump in the pool, you got to get that out of your system before you're feeling good again. I feel like it's the same here, that we got to figure out a way to spit some of this artificial money out of our markets before we can get a real good foothold and take off from a foundation that's strong.
In my opinion, what I think can end up happening is you can end up like Japan, and what you end up doing is basically creating all sorts of zombie companies out there that should have gone out of business. You know, usually when you hit a recession, and I've seen a lot of small businesses go under, but also larger businesses as well. Announcement coming this week that Brooks Brothers is going to be declaring bankruptcy, but there's so much cheap money out there that somebody will step in and probably buy it up at a certain price when maybe it should have gone by the wayside and gotten down to a more intelligent level based upon its sales and everything that's going on out there. When you have ultra low interest rates like this, what it does is it keeps companies that should be gone still around.
Yeah, and the whole zombie companies make sense to me. I don't love the idea of extending the PPP, but I also know that there's, 28 million small businesses in America, and 1.7 million of them actually got PPP. So that leaves 25, 26 million companies who still haven't got any help. Maybe another month of it saves a few companies that are worth saving. And again, we got to get those other companies to bankruptcy and out of the market and get people footholded with some real jobs again in places that are going to have some staying power.
Honestly, I'm not so sure. I mean, I think it's kind of a signal. Oh, look, we're going to be trying to help out small businesses again. If you go online, I go to various different business broker websites to get a feel at what companies are selling at. You can pick up restaurants now for nothing. People are just looking to get out. Not to mention, in many areas around the country, you've got governors that are saying, "Oh, you can open." Oh, wait, stop. Now you can't open. Now, if you're a restaurant and you made it through all this period of time, and then all of a sudden you go and you fill up your refrigerator and restock everything, and then you're told, guess what? You're going to have to throw all that food out. You're done. There's a point in time where there's that straw that breaks the camel's back, and you're done. You don't want to deal with this anymore. And again, a lot of restaurants for sale.
Yeah, and most restaurants, in my view, one of their biggest fixed expenses is their rent, because you need a good location, you need parking. These restaurants, to me, are starting to become like oil a couple of months back. They basically, the owners will give you the joint if you just take the lease off their hands so they don't have to pay it anymore. So, it's effectively like they're paying you just to take the business from them. And who wants to buy a ghost restaurant when you don't know the flip of a pen? The government can shut down restaurants for, some unknown amount of time. I feel the hospitality business is in some serious trouble, especially the smaller and smaller ones. They're dead.
Yeah, and this is why, I think a more effective means, and they're talking about an additional stimulus package now and sending out checks again. And, sending out checks again, to me, it's like, basically it's a bread line. And what it is, it's a modern day bread line, really not much different than what they did during the Great Depression. I think you've got to come up with a way, when all is said and done, to maybe allow the SBA to work a little bit more fluid with Americans. So you get people that, a young chef just graduating from some Johnson & Wales might have access to capital where they might be able to buy up one of these restaurants that have gone out of business and have a go at it at that point in time. You need to get capital into the hands of young entrepreneurs if we're going to see some growth coming out of this.
Yeah, well, I'm scared because there's a lot of uncertainty out there, but the main thing that you need to know is the watchdog on Wall Street is always out there looking out for you, and he's a great friend of the show. We have him on all the time. Chris, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the boat and the fishing this weekend, and hopefully the market settles in a little bit for us so we can get a little more certainty. Thank you, brother.
You got it.
That's Chris Markowski, host of the Watchdog on Wall Street radio show, president of Markowski Investments, and I'm John Tobacco. We just buzzed you right through 2 hours of a terrific Tuesday. I had a wonderful day, and we will do it again tomorrow with even more flair It will be a Technicolor Dreamcoat of a show on Woman Wednesday. So tune in tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. More Liquid Lunch.
Welcome back, folks.
I've been taking my makeup off every day with the coronavirus wipes. I'm still corona free.
Didn't even wipe your fake tan off.
Well, that's because that's not a fake tan. That's a real tan.
This November. And Democrats don't want to see it, at least establishment ones. It seems like they're trying to sort of